Welcome to Auto Marketing Now. On today's show, we're going into the lab to talk about website engagement and the 4 new metrics you need in 2017 to evaluate all your marketing investments. Of course, we're going to have the popular email grab bag, so let's get started with today's show.
You're watching Auto Marketing Now. Today's show is brought to you by CDK Global, evolving the automotive retail experience.
So today we're into the lab to talk about engagement tracking on your website. Let me tell you how the PCG engagement project started. We do some consulting for Lithia, and I got a call this summer because as that organization has been growing, over 160 stores, their marketing team said to me, Brian, we now have over 4 website platforms across our stores, 7 different advertising platforms that these dealers use. How do we know which platform, which agency is doing the best job? Those of you who work at dealer groups, I'm sure you can identify with this. You are probably forced to have multiple different website platforms and ad agencies because of OEM co-op programs. Have you ever wondered what's really working to help you sell more cars? Have you ever asked yourself, how do I prioritize and optimize my marketing mix for all my stores when some stores are on dealer.com, some are on CDK, some are on Dealer eProcess? Today, we're going into the lab to answer that question. Now, before I answer the question on how to really set a standard to measure the quality of traffic that's coming to your website, whether your marketing dollars are working, I want you to forget everything that you know about measuring online marketing. Put the pause button on for a moment because it's extremely important that you look back to before the internet. If you're a manager at a store watching today's show, you know that if the general manager left the dealership before the internet and came back 4 or 5 hours later, the first thing they did was to look at a piece of paper. You could even say that this was the first data dashboard in the auto industry. This piece of paper was called the sales log or the up log or the desk log, whatever you called it. That general manager quickly went over here to this piece of paper to see how many people showed up, how many are on demos, how many trades, how many cars are burning gas. You would say that in 1 minute, a general manager would be able to inspect their operations. Ladies and gentlemen, watching today's show, do you have one sheet of paper that really tells you whether your digital marketing investments are working? Let me explain. You were told that when you moved more of your ad budget into digital marketing, it would be so clear the ROI was trackable. But so many dealers today don't feel that way. Matter of fact, the general manager called me the other day and said, Brian, it used to be when I increased traffic to my website, I sold more cars. How come today, when I'm spending more and increasing traffic, my car sales have plateaued? Well, I want to answer that question for those of you who've thought that or felt that before. Let's go to your playing field. It's your virtual showroom. Your website is your virtual showroom, and we're going to say for today's session that Google Analytics is the referee. You're spending money to drive traffic to your website through different marketing strategies, and then you hope that your sales or BDC team are taking those leads, those phone calls, those chats, and those lead forms and converting them into sales. I hope you're also doing proactive portfolio management with data in your DMS, but without a dashboard that looks at all of your marketing data, the transactions on your website, and the results, well, ladies and gentlemen, 2017 will be another year where you're guessing what's working. So, I set out to answer Lithia's question. Brian, how can we create a set of standards to measure multiple website platforms and multiple ad agencies? So I started with going to analytics, and even looked in our VistaDash software, which Lithia uses to manage all of the digital marketing data for their group. And I still couldn't find the answer. I started scratching my head. Here's the reason why. You know this to be the case. You're using SEO, SEM, Facebook, direct marketing, email marketing. Everyone has their own reports. Every report is different. How was I supposed to come up with a unified set of metrics? At the end of the day, Lithia, like any other dealer, wants to drive more internet shoppers into the showroom. And so how do we align our marketing investments to really increase showroom traffic? Now, one of the first realization from the Lithia Challenge was that I've been weak as a consultant on dealers in regards to conversion. That's right, we're spending money on offline and online media, and every week a dealer would be calling me up and saying, Brian, I want to know what's working, but why? Why are dealers so lazy about tracking conversion? Let me explain. Most of you have the first three areas of conversion taken care of. A showroom up, someone comes in your service drive, or someone completes a lead form. Most of you have that covered. But honestly, I have not seen a dealer yet that without my intervention had the other three conversion tools in Google Analytics, meaning when someone called, the source of that call was in analytics. When someone chatted, the source of that chat traffic was in analytics. And someone texted you from your website, again, the source of that person's visit was recorded in analytics. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for you to get serious about your virtual uplog. That's Google Analytics. And why is phone tracking so important today when you invest in digital marketing? You get about 7 phone calls for every 1 lead. Ladies and gentlemen, the number one source of conversion today is phone calls, yet dealers are being cheap and not installing DNI, dynamic number insertion, which will associate every phone call to a referral source. 2 great companies to look into are Call Review and Car Wars. Ask them about their DNI package. It's not expensive. Your number one conversion channel is phone calls. You should be knowing what marketing source triggered the phone call, and you should be listening to calls to make sure that your number one conversion source is being handled properly. It's that simple. And then, of course, Facebook is now allowing marketing professionals to run campaigns where the conversion isn't a phone call, it isn't a lead form, it's a direct conversation on Facebook Messenger. Those events have to be recorded in Google Analytics as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling all new clients that if you want to work with me to sell more cars in a digital age, you have to get serious about your virtual uplog. You need to be recording conversions for phone calls, for chats, text messages, and of course your lead forms. And if you do your part, then I will revolutionize the way you look, inspect, and benchmark your marketing data. Ladies and gentlemen, would you get serious about your virtual uplog with me for 2017? What do I mean by recording events in Google Analytics? Here's a perfect example. And we'll just zoom in on some of these Google events. This is CarNow, a very popular chat platform and customer engagement tool where every chat, whether it's for new cars, used cars, or service, is recorded into Google Analytics. Ladies and gentlemen, once you record your hard conversions, now let me show you some new research. You know, one of the questions that I had to myself is what metrics should I be looking at? And I created a little quiz for you. Would you play along with me? It's only 3 questions. If you're getting any bad flashbacks from high school, I'm sorry. But pop quizzes are a little fun, and you probably weren't expecting one, so let's do it. 3 questions. There are people who come to your website and look at only 1 page. Would you rather have someone who looks at your website for 35 seconds or 90 seconds? Would you just pick one? Now, there are people that come to your website that look at multiple pages. Would you rather have people who look at 5 pages? Or how about people who look at 2? Which one would you prefer? And lastly, you could hire 2 agencies. You're each going to give them $5,000. One agency promises to bring you 4,500 visitors. The other agency, 2,700 visitors. Which agency would you pick? I've asked these questions to you for a reason. The first question was, Is time on site important? The next question I asked you was the number of pages a consumer visit important? And lastly, is the cost per click important? This pop quiz was a little bit of a trick because none of that data really determines whether or not you're selling any more cars. None of that data talks about the quality of traffic, and that's where the light went on. I realize that the auto industry has been giving dealers, you who are watching the show, reports that are only focused on quantity, not quality. Let me explain. Only 10% of the traffic you send to your website will convert to a hard conversion. 1 to 2% for a lead form, 3 to 6 or 7% for a phone call, 1% for chat or texting. Do you understand what the problem is? All of the metrics listed on this screen are quantity, and 90% of the people that you pay for to get to your website never identify themselves. Let me explain. All of you are familiar with paid advertising. Someone clicks on your ad, maybe you take them to a search results page, and then they get to a VDP. Ladies and gentlemen, only 10% of the people that follow that path will identify themselves. What about the other 90%? How do you know that your sophisticated marketing tool that you were sold on, that's supposed to know in-market shoppers, that's supposed to be placing your ads in the right place at the right time, how do you know it? Well, shouldn't you know whether they looked at a photo, scrolled down the page to look at your incentives? There isn't a used car dealer watching this show who wouldn't want to know, if he's spending $10,000 a month on used car marketing, what percentage of the people that he paid for looked at photos of his cars. Ladies and gentlemen, if somebody comes on your lots, gets out of the car, steps on your pavement, get back in the car and leave, is that an engaged shopper? Don't engage used car shoppers. Get out of the car, go look at the car, open up the doors, look at the inside. Shouldn't you be measuring engagement on your website? Well, this is where the light bulb went off for me. In order to hold different advertising vendors accountable, in order to hold different website vendors, that combination should be producing visitors to your website that are engaged. They should be playing your videos, listening to what you have to say about the car. They should be looking at photos, sending VDPs to their mobile device, clicking on the trade-in tool. Yet, not a single AdWords report that you could show me today will show me the engagement of your campaigns, all that traffic you're paying for on your website. This is where the PCG Engagement Project was born. We've created a set of metrics that track the engagement and the things that people do on your website. There's over 40 metrics, and we've weighted them. Take a look at this list. What's the most important engagement event? It's the phone call. Maybe under that, two-way engagement with chat. Underneath that, a lead form, all the way down to a scroll. Ladies and gentlemen, if somebody's spending 3 or 4 minutes on your website and doesn't even scroll down a single page, what do you call that? Well, most likely it's a bot trying to emulate a consumer action. Ladies and gentlemen, we've created a series of metrics in the PCG Engagement Project for 2017 to revolutionize your marketing strategy. The first one is cost per engagement. We add up all the engagements divided by the cost of your campaign. And we now have ranges of what your engagement cost should be. That's right. Another metric that we came up with is called ZEP, zero engagements per page. What percentage of your traffic is doing nothing, not even scrolling? Highly likely you could be infected with bots. Look at these advertising screens here. Ladies and gentlemen, as we zoom in, ignore the 2 boxes. Everything else looks like your reports. But for the first time with CPE, you can identify which campaigns have too high of a cost per engagement. For example, it should be under 75 cents. If you have a campaign that's $3 a cost per engagement, call up your agency and tell them, listen, your ad, your targeting, or your landing page is wrong. Or how about ZEP? Do you want to pay for traffic to your website where 70 or 80% of the traffic is doing nothing? Meaning no photo views, no video views, not a click of a button, not even a scroll down the page? Ladies and gentlemen, with these two metrics on your advertising dashboard, you can revolutionize and eliminate waste. You can identify bots and eliminate those traffic sources. And what about campaigns that don't have a cost? Well, we have a third metric, EPS. Those are for your newsletter and CRM templates, organic search, and organic content. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start measuring how many engagements per session our email campaigns and CRM templates are doing. And the last one, oh, you're going to love this one. It's FCR, form completion rates. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know how many people, like here on Honda Ocala, if we zoomed in and look, trade in my car, do you know how many people click on that button and then complete that form? You should. What if I told you 500 people clicked the trade-in button and only 10 people completed the action? Wouldn't you be interested in testing another trade-in tool? Ladies and gentlemen, we have so many buttons. We have finance applications, trade-in applications. Now we have digital retailing. Shouldn't you know how many people started the process and eventually finished it? With the PCG engagement project, you're going to have form completion rate statistics like here that you could check. A trade-in tool on your CDK website to a trade-in tool on your dealer.com website. Finance application on your CDK to dealer.com. You get the idea? Test different products, find which one consumers are enjoying the most, and use that on all your sites. It's that simple. These 4 new metrics will revolutionize and optimize your business. If you don't have them, you're going to be looking at quantity metrics, not quality. You're going to be taken advantage of by bots and poor targeting. And at the end of the day, here's what you need to know. All of this data is simplified into VistaDash, the auto industry's only independent Switzerland dashboard for all your data. As you increase the engagement on your website, you will increase your traditional conversions, but here's also what you're going to increase: more sales. Why? Higher engagement on your website will result in higher showroom visits. It's that simple. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an actual client who's using a very popular website platform and a very popular ad agency associated with it. Ladies and gentlemen, zoom in on that blue column. You are looking at campaigns that have 70, 80+% of the traffic doing nothing. Can you afford to be spending $1,000 or $2,000 a month on traffic that's not engaged? Well, you, like me, said, well, Brian, I never had these tools before, but now you do. As you tweak your marketing investments and optimize on engagement, so will your sales increase. This will give you new hope for 2017. Interest rates are on the rise. Competition's on the rise. Warranty pay is down. Your margins are slimming. You need to eliminate waste out of your marketing budget. It's that simple. You can't do it with the metrics you have now. You need CPE, ZEP, EPS, and FCR to change the way you look at your data. How do we prioritize and optimize? Here's what I found out and presented to Lithia and my clients. If we focus on quality, not quantity, we have the best opportunity to increase engagement, increase showroom visits, and at the end, increase sales, which I'm sure is on everyone's mind for the year ahead. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I leave you with one challenge. Do you want to continue using metrics that leave you in the dark, or embrace PCG engagement metrics? If you would like to download our free PCG engagement guide, just follow this link here on the screen, or just call 732-450-8200. Ask for Dan Webb. He'll give you all the information you need to get your website tagged and your data collected to sell more cars in a digital age. And that's today's Into the Lab segment. And now for today's email grab bag question. A marketing manager wrote in to ask Brian, how do I really record conversion events in Google Analytics if I've never set them up before? Well, this is a great question. I've been holding this for today's show because it's relevant to our conversation on tracking engagement. The three major conversion areas would be form leads, phone calls, chats, and texts. And normally, chats and text are now being bundled together by the same company. So let's go one at a time. The first one, your website company should be contacted and let them know that you want to trigger a goal in analytics when a lead is submitted. Now, sometimes they have a thank you page after a lead form, but more and more website platforms aren't using thank you page, so they have to trigger the conversion event or goal themselves. Secondly, for phone calls, you need to talk to your call tracking provider. I mentioned Call Review and Car Wars are two great companies that offer dynamic number insertion. It's their job to trigger a phone call conversion into Google Analytics. Now, if you're running Google AdWords, Google's Campaign Manager already uses Google's own tracking numbers, and if somebody calls, they will automatically throw a conversion goal for your AdWords campaigns. But that's not enough. You're investing in Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. You're investing in off-site content, business directories. All of these referral sources should be tracked using dynamic number insertion, and your vendor who provides D&I will get those conversion events triggered in analytics. And lastly, chat. The best, most transparent chat companies in the United States support Google Analytics. In fact, companies like Contact at Once, CarChat24, CardNow are all part of the PCG engagement project and are throwing very detailed analytics events, as we mentioned today's show with CardNow. There's over 13 different chat events that can be shared now using the PCG engagement definition. So don't try to handle it all yourself, but under no circumstances should you not convert those consumer conversions into records in analytics. It's that simple. Do not fly blind in 2017. Get those bases covered and then get your website tagged with Google Tag Manager with PCG engagement scripts to get the full picture of what consumers are doing on your website. If you have a question you'd like to use on the show and we use it on air, I'll send you a free copy of my latest book, Mastering Automotive Digital Marketing. It's the textbook used at Northwood University to train the next generation of automotive professionals, and the 2017 edition will be released at NADA. So thank you for watching today's show, and I'll see you next week on Auto Marketing Now.